there are more other and more pertinent social issues that need to be tackled.
Right.
And like I said earlier, that this is a call to action. You know, I gave you one, I gave you two, and now I'm giving you three. And if you ain't got it by that time, then, you know, that's on you. So we're not into the business of just making documentaries. Like, I have a couple of other projects, and all my projects is going to deal with social issues, whether it be a full feature film or web series. You know, there's always going to be a message within it.
Right.
But I want to do other things, and so we're not going to continue with the elementary genocide series.
Okay. I mean, that's understood. Now, when you say you was incarcerated, it kind of made me think, because when I looked at the pieces of your documentary and the things that I read, I was actually thinking about the new Jim Crow law that actually came out. You know what I'm saying? Even though it's a parallel topic to what you had, but now that you say you've been locked up and have come out, do you find yourself, you know what I'm saying, that whole topic there is felons being treated as second-class citizens, not being able to vote, not being able to find a job, and being forced to go and just do your own entrepreneurial thing, which ain't a bad thing. It's not like that's a bad thing at all. But do you find that that topic, I can't remember where I was going with that, but basically, do you find that you actually infuse that same type of issue there inside your actual documentary? Do you have something that actually speaks on that?
Yes, in documentary, we definitely speak about Jim Crow laws, those that are being released, the returning citizens. That's what I like to call them. I don't like to call them ex-felons, convicts. They returning citizens back into society.
Right.
We talk about the collateral damage that they face. And there's over 40,000 collateral damages that an individual can face from being incarcerated and released and when you're on parole. And that can be anything from not being able to have a barber's license, certain license you're not able to get, student loans, being able to reside in public housing. And there's just a litany of other different stigmas and legislative laws that prevent you from integrating back into society. Now, as far as me personally, I was able to circumvent that because, like I said, when I came out, I didn't want to work for nobody else. I made it my business to prepare myself to go into business for myself. However, initially I did work a couple of jobs, and it wasn't no issue about my criminal background. I was upfront and truthful with it, and I was still able to get the job. They was able to look past that. And more of anything, they was more intrigued about it. They was like, you what was you using there for? You know, and I explained the story. You know, being young and caught up in the fast life and wanted the fast money. You know, it led me to, down that road and down that path. And so now what I do is I go around the country and I speak and I use my situation as a precautionary tale. You know, so others don't fall into that pitfall. Because the whole thing of the matter is that we all make decisions.
Right.
And some of us make bad decisions. But it's what you do after that. In life, everyone has a choice to make. And sometimes we make those bad choices. But we can't let that hinder us from moving forward and ahead in life.
Right.
So I never use that as a crutch or a stigma, like, oh, I got this felony, I can't do this, I can't do that. I was able to create my own opportunity. I didn't ask for it, it wasn't given to me. Certain situations came by where I capitalized off of it, but it was because of how I was moving around and what I was doing.
I wanted to speak on something that you had said, that you just said, and this is something I like to preach to even I'm in education as well. My background is mental health, and I've taught in Charlotte, Vermont, and in North Carolina. And Baltimore. But in school with kids and in prison, and what people don't understand when we're learning things, all we want to know is how in the hell is this going to benefit us? Me as a teacher, I realized that I had to explain or just give the kids a little bit more, on why we needed to learn the formulas in seventh grade math. This is going to help you come up with your profits for when you own your own business. Like you said, these, like you said, we all make bad decisions, and people that's coming out of jail or prison, yes, they may not be able to go to get another job, but I always want to enforce the fact that you can start your own business. And as a child, you might have to go get a learner's permit to work for somebody else, but there's no law saying that you can't be 15 without, and not own your own business. So, man, I just want to get this entrepreneurship out to our people and not only focus on what the laws say we can't do, but focus more on what the laws say we can do. Know your rights and, go, get through those loopholes to just taking the initiative. I feel like our people don't even take the initiative as much as other people do when it comes to finances and stepping up and taking that entrepreneur role versus, and it's not for everybody, but like you said, man, that's a good thing. You don't have to go work for somebody else when you get out of jail. While you in there sitting down, learning, start educating yourselves on business management. We need to start some business management programs in these schools and in prisons. I've never been before, but if it's not already there, that's definitely something I want to get into and take into the prisons and jails.
Yeah, and that's one of the main things, and I was fortunate in this regard because when I got upstate, I applied for college, I just got my GED, and I got accepted into college. For a week later, I received a letter saying that the college program was shut down. They shut it down in the entire New York State, and this was when the governor attacked me. But wow. What happened was there was 7 jails out of 57 jails that was offering the college program that was being funded by private donors, and this was the New York Theological Seminary. And I just happened to be fortunate to be in one of those facilities that was offering it. So that's how I was able to go to college free. A lot of other people wasn't fortunate enough to be able to do that. And as far as business management programs and different things, they're not offering that. So, it's sad because, statistically we know that those that are educated have a less chance of going back to jail. The recidivism rate is low. It's a proven fact. Those that with college education don't go back to jail. They're able to find their way. And that was one of the things that I knew, that everything that I imagined became possible with education. But you also spoke about being an entrepreneur in credit and finance. Now that's something that I learned early on and I picked up. So immediately what I did was improve my credit score before I even started my business. Because one thing that we know is that you would never see a riot in any community where the credit score, the average credit score is 700. So when we talk about inequality and, the economic that we are suffering in our community, a lot of it has to do with how we handle our finances and not having an average credit score of 700. So that was one of the things that, I was mindful of. And when we talk about education and trying to, teach this next generation why it's important to have this, a lot of times, these kids, they're not stupid. They will ask you, why should I go to school and learn and get this so-called education when I'm surrounded by rich criminals and poor graduates? The criminals were rich. those that are on Wall Street and that looted the banking system, the housing system, and you know when United States had the downturn in the market, and they got a windfill of money. None of them went to jail, and what they did to society was criminal. You know, with the mortgage crisis and different things like that.
Right.
And these teenagers and these kids, they see that, and they see those that graduate are poor. So the question a lot of them want to know is, how do we go to school and get a job and we surrounded by rich criminals and poor graduates? And one of the things that I always tell them is that you don't necessarily have to go to school. For some people, that's not the thing.
Right.
You know, but every day is a learning experience for you. So you can go right now to YouTube University and learn how to do computer coding
Right.
and make $200,000-300,000 a year, building your own app, you know, doing IT work.
Yep.
And be a consultant. You know, you can start your own business in technology where it doesn't, they're not doing a background check. You know, so there's a lot of other things that you can do to make yourself sustainable and also to earn a good living. So
I can speak on that.
I don't always preach to go to college and you know, do this, that, and the other. You can self-teach yourself. Many different skills and different things like that. Because in reality, you know, public school is nothing but an extension of the church. And the public school was created by the church. And the purpose of public school is not to teach kids how to think, it's to teach them what to believe. So it's more of an indoctrination process when you dealing with education that's taught in the United States, especially when it's taught from those that don't look like us or who don't have our best interests at heart. You know, education is nothing more than religious indoctrination. That's why I tell people all the time, white supremacy is the religion, and the schools and the churches for the religion of white supremacy. So what you have to do is, when you do teach or you in education, you have to teach it from an Afrocentric perspective, because that's what resonates with our kids. And you wonder why they are failing, and it's because of standardized tests. You know, there's several different ways to teach kids, and some are visual learning, some are kinesthetic learning, and it's not one fits all type of teaching. You know, when you deal with education, you got to understand that you have intent and you have content. Content is what you teaching, and intent is how you teach it.
Right.
And kids do not learn from people they do not like. So if they don't like you, they're not going to learn from you. And what's happening now is the workforce for teachers is predominantly white and over 70 to 80% female.
Wow.
So there's a disconnect. The curriculum is culturally biased. The testing doesn't resonate with them. It's not. They look at it and they say this is anti-African. You know, when we send people about Christopher Columbus. You know, so that's main thing about it. So that's why I tell people that if you're in a position, you need to homeschool your kids, at least until a certain age, and then maybe you can put them in the public school system or put them in an Afrocentric school,
Right.
if that's what you have to do. But we gotta stop allowing our open enemies to teach our kids. You know, Malcolm X said that we are the only race of people that allow open enemies to teach our kids. And our great grandmaster teacher, John Henry Clark, he told us a long time ago that we have no friends, and that these are the same people that will have you believe that we are one chromosome away from being farm animals.
Wow.
They felt like that back then, and they feel like that now. Because if you look at what's going on in the school system, every day there's a different headline. They just had one that I was reading about the other day where principal segregated the entire school.